Okay, so this is my Miss Marvel season finale video, and maybe there's a season 2. I haven't heard anything, but anyway. It starts off basically where it left off. Only, last episode, Bruno and Kamran were knocked out cold. And at the beginning of this episode, they're running through a train. So I guess there was a time jump because it was nighttime and now it was daytime when we see the damage control dumbasses. So I guess that makes sense. Why it would take damage control that long to get to the Circle Q? Yeah. But anyway, so Kamran and Bruno are running through the train trying to get away from damage control. And Kamran has no control over his powers. And Bruno's just, he's just totally cool about it because he's like, yeah, this happened to Kamala. It'll be fine. So, then we get to the Circle Q, and the agent is obsessed. I think her name is Deaver. She is obsessed with finding Kamran because she's convinced, first off, she wants to know what he is. Okay, fine. That they're damage control. They probably want to know what they're dealing with. I mean, after all the crap that happened with the Avengers, makes sense. But she also seems to not care about that this could be a person. She's treating him like a thing. But anyway, so yes, we're supposed to really not like her. And so then we see Kamran and Bruno being chased by damage control. And Kamran uses his powers, granted, not willingly, but he uses his powers. And they basically destroyed the train. And I didn't realize that they destroyed the train because then you see them running to the mosque. And before they get to the mosque, Nakia is asking Kamala, who is just trying to tell her family that she's the superhero who they've been seeing in Jersey City. But mom already told dad, and brother and sister-in-law overheard dad saying it on the speaker. Okay. So Kamala lost her moment. And brother and sister-in-law are basically making fun of her. And now I don't know why. I mean, she has light-based powers. Do they really want to get hit by that? Do they not understand what they're doing by making fun of her? Because we saw what she does when she's pissed. So, so Nakia is asking, have you seen Bruno? Have you heard from Bruno? No. And at first, Kamala is happy because Nakia is actually talking to her. But alas, she's just doing it because she's concerned about Bruno. And so Kamala is trying to call Bruno, not getting any answers. So she looks like she's about to go out and search for him. Her mother comes in and says, "You're not going out dressed like that." And she presents her with her costume, which I guess she had custom made in Pakistan while they were still there. Now, based on how confident she is and how in control she is of her powers and how to use them properly, maybe there was a time jump, but this also goes back to the first episode where I think it was the first episode where where her mom was going to make food for Bruno, and like 5 seconds later, if that, she presents him with like four take home boxes of food, making fun of how quickly she can get things done. So I'm assuming it's the same thing. But anyway, she goes out and starts running to try to find Bruno and Kamran. And, well, actually, at this moment, it's just Bruno. I don't think she has any idea about Kamran. So she's running, and she even stops at stoplight, which I thought was hilarious because she's in the air. There is no traffic there. Nobody's going to pull her over for running through a red light when you're actually above the red light. But she does. And then she keeps going. So she finds Bruno. Well, first, Bruno and Kamran make it to the mosque, and that's where we find out they kind of destroyed the train because they tell Nakia about that, oh, our train kind of took a detour or something. And Nakia is like, you can't be here. And they're like, this is a house of worship. The cops can't get to us here. Which, technically, that's true. But as we could see, Damage Control doesn't give a shit about such things. So, and Nakia, this kind of bugged me, but Nakia, said, but this is a mosque in America. And no, I'm pretty sure that Damage Control would have done this if it were a church. If it were a church, if it were a synagogue, they wouldn't care. If somebody they're after is in a house of worship, they would just go in. I don't think this is a racism issue or whatever. It's not. It's just Damage Control are a bunch of dicks, is what it is. So, Nakia said, okay, fine, you can stay here, but when the coast is clear, you have to, head to the high school. And Bruno's like, why the high school? Because that's the only building I can think of that's deserted on a Saturday. Now, I find that weird because usually there are activities going on over the weekends, whether it be athletic activities, musicals, plays, let's see, different kind of clubs. There's usually something going on the weekends. Granted, it's not as full as it would be during the school day, but it's not completely deserted either. But anyway, so they go hide, and Damage Control comes in, and they're shocked when they said, IDs out, and everybody's holding their IDs. And the Sheikh is like, yeah, you've done this before. we know the drill now. And of course also implying that this happens more than just Damage Control, which is sad, but anyway. So they're looking for Kamran. and everybody's playing dumb. One of them offers her cookies, which I thought was cute. I mean, I would have taken the cookie. I mean, you know, it's like, well, they're trying to be nice. I mean, they're not hostile. But they're acting like, why are you protecting someone who could kill you? And the answer is that they could, but they're friends, so they won't. It's like these people are so dead set on superpowered people being bad that it never occurred to them that not all of them. I'm afraid of what they think of the Avengers, because I can understand them being concerned about teenagers with powers. Hell, Scarlet Witch proved that one. But I can understand that. But they know that not everyone with powers are bad guys. So I understand that they can cause a lot of damage, but they don't normally do it on their own. Of course, mutants usually do it on their own, but anyway. So Nakia, they find a door, and Nakia's trying to make up stories as to why they can't go in, because making up stories one after another, totally different stories, will, convince someone. So she opens the door and she calls this guy. Now, have we seen this guy before? I honestly do not recall seeing this guy. But she refers to him as her boyfriend, and that, she just doesn't want her parents to know about him, blah, blah, blah. So they just leave. And he's hung up on the fact that she called him her boyfriend, which I think was hilarious. But also, have we seen him before? Do we know who this guy is? And so as the boys are running, trying to get away from damage control, the Sheikh finds them and says they need disguises. What does he do? He puts baseball caps on their head. And this actually got me laughing, because on Kamran it says halal, and on Bruno it says haram. And I found it hilarious because one's Muslim, the other one is not. So, yeah, I found that to be absolutely hilarious. And so they're running, and they run into Kamala, who says she's going to help them. And Kamran has basically a power surge, and Kamala is, protecting everyone from Surge, and they run off. They go to the high school. Nakia meets up with them at the high school, and how in the world Ahmed knew that they were in high school, I do not know. Maybe Nakia told her, because she did say she was going to call Kamala. So maybe she said, and Kamala told her parents. So Ahmed comes. Well, later he comes. But so Nakia comes, and Kamala in her kind of makeup, because Kamala was again going to defend herself, and then just decided to say sorry, I shouldn't have done that, whatever. And then Zoe comes in because this is where she makes her TikTok videos in the drama room. So, and Zoe knew, like I thought, Zoe knew from that moment at AvengerCon when Kamala saved her that it was Kamala. And I'm pretty sure it was because Bruno was there and helping her, because apparently they're each other's only friend, I guess. But anyway, so Zoe wants to help. And everyone seems to be flabbergasted at this. I'm not sure why. Zoe even said, "You saved my life." She had to say it a couple times, like, guys, she's not that shallow. She gives a crap that you saved her life. Of course she's gonna. So she wants to help. Then Amit comes in. So they decide to form a plan. They go into the classroom, and that's when Amit shows up, and Kamal is like, how'd you get here? Through the bathroom window. I went to school here. And then he said that their mom wanted him to come to keep an eye on Kamala. And she's pouting because she doesn't need a chaperone. And everybody's like, okay, let's get this going. So Kamala comes up with a plan. And basically they're going to Home Alone damage control. And too bad for damage control that they're dealing with with one genius, but the rest are good followers. But Kamala's not an idiot herself. So they figure out how they're going to get Kamran out. And before they do that, Kamala calls Kareem to ask him to help get Kamran out of the country. And so as they're planning, they're showing a little bit of the end result. And so Leary calls Deaver and tells her to call it off because you're outside of a high school, and he does believe in bad press. Now, for those who don't know, there is a saying that there's no such thing as bad press. According to Leary, there is. And yes, there is such a thing as bad press. So, he tells Deaver to stand down, and so it's like, oh, all their preparation's gonna go to waste? No. Deaver makes it sound like, okay, fine, if you insist, but then she gives them the go ahead to storm the high school. And they're confronted with a box. And they assume it's a bomb, which I honestly can't blame them. But it starts playing music. And a disco ball comes down. I mean, at this point, it's not a bomb. It's like, what kind of bombs did you guys come in contact with that you would think this is a bomb? Because they still shoot it. They still blow it up. What is wrong with you? So, how many discos have you been to? It's what I'd like to know. So, they go into the school, and Kamran comes out and is like, all this trouble just for me? And he just runs off. And then we see Bruno and one of the girls. I wasn't sure which one. And they run separate directions, and their damage control is freaking out. There's more than one. There's more than one. Now, do they think there's more than one enhanced person? Because they already know there's two. They already know that Kamala and Kamran are in there at the same time. So you can't tell the difference between Kamran, Kamala, and these two? Okay. So they start running around, giving them the runaround. At first, they are just shooting non-lethal rounds. So they're not trying to hurt the kids. And so then we see, instead of them throwing softballs, they're using the pitching machine. So they're having time of their lives. All three of them are having the time of their lives until damage control gets to them and arrests them. And they weren't very gentle when they pushed them against the wall. And but before this happened, they used Zoe being a social media influencer to their advantage, because they had her go onto her TikTok and tell people, come to the high school. This is what's happening. So by this time, outside, there's this crowd of people, and the police are trying to keep them at bay, which includes Kamala's parents. And which I find hilarious that her father follows Zoe. Not just that he's on TikTok, he follows TikTok, he follows Zoe. And so everybody's standing there, trying to stop them from, trying to stop damage control, yelling at the police to, stop this madness. And so the four non-enhanced people are put in a wagon, and so then Kamala, who she had told Bruno earlier about his mother, she finally tells him, and what Bruno suggested came to pass. Now, somewhere in this, he did mention that his apartment blew up. He didn't say anything about his grandparents, or about Circle Q. So maybe he's emancipated. So anyway, so Kamran comes out, and he's super pissed at the police and damage control. So he basically attacks them. So now Kamala has to go between protecting Kamran and preventing him from killing anybody or hurting anybody. So and this was a fun fight, because damage control had no chance. I'm not sure why damage control uses conventional weapons. I mean, what do they think they're going to accomplish? Especially since they know that both of these two have light-based powers. The guns that they would seem to be using with non-lethal rounds seem to be lasers type guns. I don't know. So, Kamal is trying to talk down Kamran. Now, Kamran is telling Kamala that, because she even told him that, he asked, are your friends the Red Daggers? And she said yes, and he said that they're the enemy of my people. And he considers this other dimension to be his home, which, since it's so hard to get back, I assume he's never been there, but yet he considers it home. And Kamala told him about his mother. Now, I don't know. He's getting this information from a girl who just sees that their human bodies disintegrated. So either Kamran doesn't know about their true nature of being light-based beings, or he's just taking Kamala's word for it, because I still don't think his mother is dead. Because she was going to go through the veil even after Heather walked in and seemed to have disintegrated. She was still happy to do it. So I still don't think she's dead. Now, what she did to give Kamran powers, I do not know. Whether she, gave off some of her light energy to give it to Kamran, or what happened. But I don't think she's dead. And so as they're fighting, they use this sonic speaker, I guess. And the first time it was to get through Kamala's light shield. But the second time it was like they were defenseless. They were tired, and Bruno's like, this is going to kill them. So Kamala was, of course, able to... Kamran first went completely berserko, and Kamala was able to stop everything. And she finally said the word that everybody was waiting for, Embiggen. Anybody who's seen the comics knows that that's a big thing for her, is to say Embiggen. So she said Embiggen, and the guys were just watching this, and they were cheering on, and they were having a great time. Of course, her parents were not having a great time. They were freaking out. So I think even the sister-in-law was totally enjoying this whole thing. And so Kamala makes sure that a couple of the people that Kamran almost killed were okay. And you could see on Kamran's face, he's like, So she creates this dome around her and Kamran and gives an impassioned speech. He's saying how, see, they'll never accept us. Which is a very mutant thing. Very mutant storyline of never being accepted by regular humans. Now, so Kamala makes a hole for Kamran to go through so he could escape. So she does that. And after that, Damage Control wants to take her in, and everybody, including the cops, turn on Damage Control. They're like, no, you are not doing that. And I mean, the police didn't try very hard. Well, nobody tried that hard, because luckily nobody's suicidal. And but by the time they were able to get through, Kamala was gone. And then Devers got a call from Leary, who ripped her a new one. And I think you fired her? That's what it sounded like. It sounded like you fired her. Because he was super pissed that not only did they attack a high school, they attacked children. And I don't think at this point he cares that 2 of those children were enhanced. All he cared about was that she attacked children because, only 2 of them were enhanced. So she gets home, or at least I assume that's where she went. And then you're watching everyone on TikTok going crazy about this new girl and what she did at the high school. We even saw the kid who is the shoe thief, who was still enamored by the fact that she dropped him. She was still cool about that. And he's like, I think I was her test run. Not wrong, kid, but that wasn't the intent. So we see her watching all these TikToks, and fun fact, I found this out from Emergency Awesome. One of the women, I think it might have been the first TikTok, was the creator, G. Willow Wilson. So, which I thought was cool. So, let's see. So, she goes out onto, wait, so she gets home. She's on the roof. Her father joins her, and he's pretending like this is a scary thing to be on the roof. Which, he was fine. He was just wanting her to feel, like she's protecting him. It's like, dude, do you not see what she did? She did. She was doing that. What are you doing? And then, now this was, I enjoyed that they were dealing with the history of the partition, and that they talked a lot about it. And I learned a lot because I don't recall learning this in school. But this is where I was like, this is way too convenient. I highly doubt that's the story. So I looked up what Kamala meant. No, it's not Marvel. It's Lotus Flower. But I just loved this idea that the mom gave her her costume. The dad gave her her name, Miss Marvel. So then she leaves to sit on a street light, which, to look over everything. Okay. And so then we get to where she is watching everything on TikTok when she's home, and she's looking in the mirror trying her superhero pose, and which was adorable. But so then she's lying on the bed. Ooh, I again skipped something. So I forgot that she meets her friends. Nakia and Bruno are fighting over Kamran's car. Nakia doesn't believe that Kamran gave Bruno the car. I mean, they spent a lot of time together running away from damage control before you got there. How do you know that this didn't happen? I mean, we didn't see it, but, it still could happen. And we find out that Nakia is a pickpocket because she stole Bruno's keys. And they drove off into the sunset. Okay, now we get to her in her room. Basically a post-credit scene. Her in her room. And Oh, yes, and we did see Kamran meeting Kareem. And I found it interesting that all three, well, I can't call Kareem superpowered, but, one of the main heroes, well, starts with K. But anyway, so I guess Kamran's gonna join the Red Daggers. Maybe the Red Daggers will get it through his thick skull what his mother and the rest of the clandestines were going to do, because it's unclear whether Kareem is also a jinn. How did they find all this stuff out? I might have missed it. But anyway, back to the post-credit scene, and I think I'm really at the post-credit scene this time. So, she's watching the TikToks, then doing her superhero pose, then lying on the bed, and her bangle goes off. So she gets up, looks at it, and she goes flying through her closet door. And out comes Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. And at first she's looking at her hand, so you're like, wait, I thought I heard something about her being a shapeshifter. But she was looking at a picture at the broken picture of Captain Marvel. So maybe there was some sort of switcheroo going on. And it is the real Captain Marvel. They didn't exactly explain what happened, but I think in the comics she's a shapeshifter. So I guess it's possible. But you'd think that she would know that the bangle might have told her something. I don't know. But anyway, that's how the show ends. Again, I don't know if there's going to be a second season. It's kind of nice that everybody's friends now, so that's good. It ended on a happy note, except for we won't find out till the Marvels, which I don't remember when that's coming out. Sometime next year, I think. What happens with the Kamala Captain Marvel thing, because like I said, the way she was looking at her hands implied that Kamala just shapeshifted and not that she switched places with the real Captain Marvel, because the real Captain Marvel wouldn't be looking at her hands like, why do I look like this? I mean, she would look around the room to figure out that she's in somebody's bedroom, but not look at her hands like, who am I? So anyway, I think the next show that's coming out is She-Hulk. So I will do my reviews for that. Oh, and one last thing. For the comic book readers who are going to be upset or still holding out hope that Kamala is a mutant, which Bruno did tell her that her genes don't look like the same as her family, that they are mutated. So obviously they're making her a mutant. For those who are trying to still hold out hope that she's a Inhuman, which I was one of those, before I started recording, I saw a headline from the creator that said that they initially wanted to make her a mutant. Now, I didn't read the article, so I don't know why they made that change, but Miss Marvel is a fairly new character, so maybe it's something to do with Marvel Studios losing the rights to mutants. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't read the article, so I don't know why the change. So, yeah, if that was the case, that she initially was supposed to be a mutant, I don't think that they're going to later find a way to her into becoming an Inhuman. She's going to be a mutant in the MCU. So I think I covered everything. Yes, I know with the fight I kind of glossed over things, but it was a fight. It was a fun fight, but it was a fight. And yes, it was fun to see Kamala. And this is what I meant earlier about, I mean, when she was being attacked, it was one thing and she wasn't as sure of herself. But once you got her pissed off about her friends being in danger, I mean, you saw how she acted when she saw Bruno. She was thrilled to see him. She was so worried about him. And so, and I'm the same way. I'm not very good at defending myself. You harm someone I care about, yeah, I'm going to be much better at defending that. So she's the same way. She had her shit together because people she cared about were in danger. It wasn't about her anymore. Um so yeah, I think I got everything covered then. So I will see you for She-Hulk.